They called him the coolest rebel in Hollywood. The man with the wicked grin and those unforgettable eyebrows. For 6 decades, Jack Nicholson owned every room he walked into, every screen he commanded. But Hollywood isn't built on smiles and handshakes. It's built on egos, rivalries, and wounds that never quite heal. Now, at 88, living quietly in his Mulholland Drive mansion, Jack has stopped playing the game, and the stories he's finally sharing. They reveal a side of Hollywood most of us never see. 5 actors who crossed him, 5 feuds that shaped his legendary career. Some you might expect. Others will shock you completely. This is the truth behind the sunglasses and that famous smirk. Let's begin. Number 5. Marlon Brando. When Jack Nicholson talks about acting, one name always comes up first. Marlon Brando. His hero, his inspiration. The reason he believed movies could be art instead of just entertainment. So imagine the excitement when they were finally cast together in 1976's The Missouri Breaks. Jack was at his peak, fresh off winning an Oscar for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Brando was still Brando, the untouchable legend. On paper, it should have been magic. Instead, it became a masterclass in frustration. Brando refused to memorize lines. He showed up wearing bizarre costumes that had nothing to do with the script. In one scene, he appeared in a full dress and bonnet, improvising dialogue that left Jack completely bewildered. The director couldn't control him. The crew watched in uncomfortable silence. Jack tried everything. He suggested rehearsals. Brando didn't show. He attempted to build chemistry off-set. Brando kept his distance. Years later, Jack would describe the experience with careful words, but those who were there remember the tension. You could feel it radiating off the younger actor. The disappointment of meeting your idol and discovering he'd stopped caring. He was checked out, Jack admitted in a rare candid moment decades later. The talent was still there, buried somewhere. But the work ethic that died long before the film flopped. Critics blamed the incoherent performances. And though Jack remained publicly respectful of Brando until the legend's death in 2004, friends knew the truth. A piece of Jack's innocence died on that set. The lesson was brutal. Never meet your heroes. They might not care anymore. Number 4. Robert Evans. Hollywood runs on trust and deals made over expensive dinners. Jack learned early that neither could be counted on, especially when Robert Evans was involved in the 1970s. Evans was the golden boy producer behind The Godfather and Chinatown. He and Jack were close, or so Jack thought. They partied together, shared the same circle, spoke the same language of ambition and art. When Evans promised Jack a piece of the back-end profits for Chinatown, Jack believed him without question. The film became a masterpiece. Jack's performance as Jake Gitz remains one of cinema's finest. The box office delivered, and then the accounting began. Evans, drowning in cocaine debts and financial chaos, restructured the deal. Jack's percentage mysteriously shrank. Phone calls went unreturned. Lawyers got involved. What should have been a celebration of artistic triumph turned into a bitter business dispute. I trusted him like a brother. That was my mistake. They settled eventually, quietly, the way Hollywood prefers. No public scandal, no dramatic courtroom scenes, just a friendship that ended without ceremony. At parties for years afterward, they'd occupy opposite corners of the room. 2 men who once shared everything, now connected only by lawyers and resentment. Evans never apologized. Jack never forgot, and when Evans published his memoir, painting himself as Hollywood's misunderstood genius, Jack reportedly threw the book across his living room. The lesson stuck with him forever. Get everything in writing. Trust no one, not even your friends. Asterisk number 3. Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick was a perfectionist. Everyone knew that going into The Shining in 1980. What Jack Nicholson didn't know was just how far that perfectionism would push him. 148 takes. That's how many times Kubrick made him film certain scenes. The famous "Here's Johnny" moment, 27 takes. The argument on the staircase, over 1 hour after hour, day after day, Kubrick demanded more. Different, again, again, again. Jack gave everything. He descended into genuine madness to play the role, isolating himself, channeling real darkness. And Kubrick kept pushing, never satisfied. Always convinced the next take might capture something transcendent. The rest of the cast suffered too, but Jack bore the brunt. He was in nearly every scene. By the end of the 6-month shoot, he was exhausted in ways that went beyond physical. Friends who visited the set described him as haunted, barely recognizing the man behind those wild eyes. Stanley didn't direct actors. Jack said years later, his voice tight. He dismantled them and rebuilt them the way he wanted. You stopped being a collaborator. You became a puppet. The Shining became a masterpiece, one of cinema's greatest achievements. Jack's performance is iconic, but he's rarely watched it since. The memories are too raw, too painful. What Kubrick extracted from him was brilliant, but the cost was steep. They never worked together again. Kubrick wanted to. He had other projects, other roles for Jack. But Jack politely declined every offer. Once was enough. Genius or not, some experiences leave scars that never heal. When Kubrick died in 1999, Jack sent flowers but didn't attend the funeral. Some wounds, even time can't close. Number 2, Roman Polanski. The tragedy of Sharon Tate in 1969 connected Jack Nicholson and Roman Polanski in ways that went beyond their professional relationship. They were neighbors, friends, part of the same tight-knit Hollywood circle. When Polanski's pregnant wife was murdered by the Manson family, Jack was one of the few who stayed close, offering support through the unimaginable grief. 5 years later, they made Chinatown together. It should have been healing, a creative triumph born from shared pain. And artistically, it was. But personally, something darker was brewing. Polanski's directing style on Chinatown was intense, controlling, often cruel. He'd humiliate actors in front of the crew. He demanded absolute obedience. When Jack pushed back on certain choices, arguing for his character's motivations, Polanski dismissed him with contempt. "You're the actor, not the director," Polanski snapped during one heated exchange. "Do what I tell you." Jack swallowed his pride. The friendship meant something. The project meant something, but the cracks were showing. Then came 1977. Polanski was arrested for sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl at Jack's house while Jack was away. The scandal exploded. Polanski fled the country rather than face sentencing. And suddenly, Jack was caught in the nightmare. His home, the scene of a crime. His judgment questioned. Publicly, Jack said nothing. Privately, he was devastated. Not just by what Polanski had done, but by the betrayal of their friendship. Of the sanctuary Jack's home was supposed to represent. Polanski remains in exile, occasionally making films, still defending himself. Jack moved on, but friends say he's never forgiven himself for not seeing who Polanski really was. "I thought I knew him," Jack admitted once decades later. "I was wrong about a lot of people, but that one cost me something I can't get back." Number 1, Dennis Hopper. This one hurts the most. Because with Dennis Hopper, it wasn't about money or ego or creative differences. It was about 2 young actors who conquered Hollywood together and then watched it all fall apart in 1969. Easy Rider changed everything. Jack and Dennis, along with Peter Fonda, captured the spirit of a generation. They were rebels with cameras, making art on their own terms. Jack's supporting role earned him his first Oscar nomination. Dennis directed and starred, proving he was more than just a character actor. They were brothers, not by blood, but by something deeper. Shared dreams, shared struggles, shared victories, and then the drugs took over. Through the 70s and 80s, Dennis spiraled. Cocaine, alcohol, paranoia. He became violent, unpredictable, dangerous. Jack tried to help, staging interventions, offering rehab money, pleading with his friend to get clean. Dennis pushed him away, convinced Jack was part of some conspiracy against him. "He looked at me like I was the enemy," Jack recalled. "Me." After everything we'd been through, the final break came at a party in 1987. Dennis, high and volatile, accused Jack of stealing roles, of sabotaging his career, of betraying their friendship. He took a swing at Jack in front of dozens of people. Security had to pull them apart. Jack left and never came back. Dennis eventually got sober in the 90s, rebuilt his career, even directed again. He reached out to Jack multiple times, wanting to reconcile, to apologize, to reclaim what they'd lost. Jack wouldn't respond. The wound was too deep, the betrayal too complete. When Dennis died in 2010, Jack didn't attend the funeral, but those close to him say he cried that night, alone in his house, mourning not just the man, but the friendship. the brotherhood that drugs and demons had destroyed. "I lost Dennis long before he died," Jack said quietly to a friend. "I lost him to something I couldn't fight, and that's the hardest thing to forgive." At 88, Jack Nicholson has seen it all. He's won 3 Oscars, starred in some of cinema's greatest films, and lived a life most people can only imagine. But success doesn't erase the wounds. Fame doesn't heal the betrayals. These 5 actors represent different kinds of pain: the idol who disappointed him, the friend who cheated him, the genius who broke him, the collaborator who used him, and the brother who abandoned him. Jack doesn't dwell on these stories publicly. He's moved on, mostly, but they shaped him, taught him who to trust, and how to protect himself in an industry that eats vulnerability for breakfast. Today, he lives quietly, rarely giving interviews, seldom seen in public. The sunglasses stay on. The smile remains enigmatic. And somewhere behind it all, these memories linger, proof that even legends carry scars. So which story shocked you most? The god who stopped caring? The friend who betrayed trust? The genius who demanded too much? The collaborator whose crime stained everything? Or the brother lost to demons? Hollywood gives us the glamour. But the truth, that's something else entirely.